Here in this video we will showcase the sizes of the different monsters from the Cthulhu mythos, taking their description from the books. Some have exact numbers attached to them, while others we would have to estimate by looking at reference points. So how big are the biggest Cthulhu mythos monsters and beings? Well, let's get to it. We start with the Migo. These are large, pinkish, fungoid, crustacean-like entities smaller than the size of a man, around 1.5 meters or 5 feet. They appear first in Lovecraft's Whisperer in Darkness, where they are said to be fungi organisms that come from the planet called Yog-Sothoth, which is widely accepted now to be Pluto. Then we come to Yithians, or the great race of Yith. These are a species that can transfer their minds to live in the bodies of other beings. Their original forms are about the size of a man, meaning 5 to 6 feet. But in the bodies they inhabit on Earth, they were tall, cone-shaped beings millions of years ago, rising to a point where 4 strange appendages emerge at the top. We also have the Deep Ones, who first appeared in Lovecraft's novella called The Shadow over Innsmouth, and are said to be about the size of a human. Their forms are vaguely humanoid, while their heads were the heads of fishes with prodigious bulging eyes that never close. Appearing first in Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, we have the Elder Things, which were described as being 8 feet tall, with the appearance of a huge oval-shaped barrel with starfish-like appendages. The top is a head adorned with 5 eyes, 5 eating tubes, and a set of cilia for seeing without light. The bottom appendage was 5-limbed and was used for walking and other forms of locomotion. Then we come to what are called the twin blasphemies, Nug and Yeb. They are twin great old ones who first appeared in the short story The Last Test by H.P. Lovecraft. They came from the mating of the outer gods Shub Niggurath and Yog-Sothoth. They are the smallest of the great old ones, being only 10 feet in diameter. The Haunter of the Dark from the story of the same name is the first avatar of Nyarlathotep here, and is at least 1 story tall, since it was stated to reside inside the confines of a church. It is said to have the figure of a bat, but with unnatural dark matter that seemed to be otherworldly in origin. Another avatar of Nyarlathotep here is the Faceless God, described in the story of the same name by Robert Bloch in 1936. This avatar is shown as a 3 to 5 meter tall black stone sphinx with vulture wings, the body of a hyena, and a human head devoid of a face. Then we have a Shoggoth. This is a sentient blob of self-shaping, gelatinous flesh, something like a giant amoeba that was created by the Elder Things as a slave organism, but rebelled against their masters. A Shoggoth is some 4.5 meters or 15 feet in diameter if it shapes itself into a sphere, but it can be larger and smaller in certain conditions. We then have the Dark Young, which were first mentioned in H.P. Lovecraft's The Whisperer in Darkness via Shub Niggurath's title The Goat with 1,000 Young. They are horrifying pitch-black abominations made up of ropey tentacles, eerie branches, and mouths all over, and large tentacles where their heads should be. They stand as tall as trees on stumpy hoofed legs. Then we have Tsathoggua, whose first appearance was in H.P. Lovecraft's story The Whisperer in Darkness as an amorphous toad-like god creature. He is a great old one and was known by his great girth and his bat-like furriness as described in The Seven Geeses by Esdagor. Although no size estimate has ever been given to him, we can guess that he would at least be as large enough to devour a man whole. Next are creatures seen in the Shadow Out of Time novel. The flying polyps are a strange alien race that came to Earth some 600 million years in the past. They were an aggressive and predatory species and were said to be huge, and when moving over land, they leave 5-toed tracks of considerable size, maybe in the 20 to 30 feet range, since although large, they are still said to dwell in ancient ruins and great wells. Now, as described in The Horror from the Hills, Shoggoths came from a higher dimension and descended to Earth over 2 billion years ago. Shoggoths' Earth form resembles a bipedal reptilian elephant, with a long flexible proboscis that ends in a disc-shaped mouth like a lamprey, which is used to suck its prey's blood. Then next we have the Starspawns, which are like mini Cthulhus. They are his children, his spawn, from the planet Zoth. They were described in At the Mountains of Madness and bore physical similarity to Cthulhu, but way smaller in size, and maybe smaller than Cthilla since she was more notable. And yeah, we come to Cthilla, who is also known as the Kraken or the Secret One. She is an offspring of Cthulhu and another entity called Idea. She has the appearance of a gigantic red-bodied, black-ringed, and six-eyed octopus. She is the daughter of Cthulhu and is critical to his plans, as should Cthulhu somehow die, Cthilla will give birth to him once again. Then next we have Hastur, the Unspeakable, the King in Yellow, who was only mentioned in one of Lovecraft's stories, in The Whisperer in Darkness. It was originally a creation of Ambrose Bierce. Hastur is also defined as a Great Old One, as the spawn of Yog-Sothoth and a half-brother of Cthulhu. He is amorphous and appears as a vast octopoid being similar to Cthilla. Then we have Artu, yet another avatar of Nyarlathotep, and was seen in The Curse the Darkness by David Drake, published in 1980. It is said to manifest in the form of a black column of viscous matter around 50 feet in diameter, erupting from below the ground, with golden tentacles sprouting from its central mass. Then we also have the God of the Bloody Tongue, who is no doubt the most well-known avatar of Nyarlathotep and was said to be revered in Africa. This being is described as a giant with 3 legs and a red tentacle where its face should be. There are no exact mentions of its size, but we can dream, can we? Let's put it at over 30 meters or 100 feet tall, at least. Then next we have Ghatanothoa, or the Dark God, who first appeared in the 1935 story Out of the Aeons, ghost written by H.P. Lovecraft for Hazel Hale. Though Ghatanothoa is said to be indescribable, it does appear to combine aspects of an octopus and an elephant while remaining amorphous. It is said to be a gigantic abomination that dwells in crypts beneath the mountains, so maybe I would say between 100 and 500 feet. In The Call of Cthulhu by H.P. Lovecraft, Cthulhu describes this monster, the Great Old One, as something of a vaguely anthropoid outline, but with an octopus-like head, whose face was a mass of feelers and with draconic wings. And so Johansen in The Call of Cthulhu in the novel states that this thing cannot be described. There is no language for such abysms of shrieking and immemorial lunacy, such eldritch contradictions of all matter, force and cosmic order. A mountain walked or stumbled. Cthulhu is then described again, shortly thereafter, as a mountainous monstrosity, and by another character called Wilcox as being 2 miles tall or 3.2 kilometers. So that's Cthulhu's size in his own book. Now next we come to the Dweller in Darkness, an entity from the story of the same name by August Derleth, and is yet another avatar of Nyarlathotep. When the story's main characters encountered this god, he was seen as a gigantic protoplasmic mass, a colossal being that towered upwards towards the stars, which was of course figurative, and thus this would mean that it was several kilometers or miles in height, maybe even rivaling Cthulhu's description. Then next we have a being called Shub Niggurath, and was first mentioned in Lovecraft's revision story The Last Test of 1928. In Lovecraft works, she is never actually described, but is frequently mentioned or called upon in incantations, but was also said to appear as a hellish cloud-like entity, in his selected letters of course, which might have been titanic in proportions. So now we have Tsathoggua, who is one of the Great Old Ones that opposed the Elder Gods. It is a creation of August Derleth and appeared in The Dweller in Darkness. It takes the form of a giant fireball and was trapped and chained by the Elder Gods within one star. Tsathoggua is said to cause spectacular sunspots, and thus, if we consider its size, it would of course be planetary. All of the other gods then, when they don't appear in the universe as avatars, they are all incorporeal and shapeless and sizeless beings. The nameless Mr. Darkness, Yog-Sothoth, Shub Niggurath, Nyarlathotep, all of them are sizeless and exist outside of time and space. Then finally we have Azathoth, the idiot god, who is all-powerful but knows nothing of the significance of his dream creations, thus being an idiot in a cosmic scale and sense. He is sizeless as he is the one that dreams the space-time continuum into existence, which means he exists beyond size itself. And with that we end this video. Leave a like to support the channel and also subscribe if you haven't already. Till the next time, take care fam.